Call the meeting to order.
Jenkins?
Here.
Harden?
Here.
Hahn?
Here.
McKinley? Testori?
Yes.
I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first thing on this evening's agenda is the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Call it.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Hahn?
Yes.
Harden?
Yes.
McKinley?
Yes.
Testori?
Yes.
Motion carried.
There being no unfinished business or new business, we move to Section 4, Other Items, the City Manager's Report.
Mayor, I only had a couple things with it being the holidays that came up. As you know, we had extensive rains over the past week or so. Today at 1 o'clock we had a meeting here in the council chambers between Santa Ana Township, Illinois Department of Transportation, and DeWitt County Highway, and to come up with a plan on what to do with the flooding up at North John and 150. And as I had reported to you gentlemen many a times that it was not our problem up there, clearly today it was identified that it is not our problem. It is a problem that Santa Ana Township now recognizes. The city limits does not go into that corner where the flooding occurs. That area is Santa Ana Township's responsibility from 1400 North up to US 150. 1400 North is also Depot Road. And so what they're going to do is they're going to work together. We will assist with our back truck. When the water recedes to where it's safe to go in there, Santa Ana Township's going to go in and do some exploratory digging to find out if tile is broke there and what can be done to correct the problem. Mark from DeWitt County Highway did state that there is an 8-inch tile that comes down along County Highway 4, that it is functioning properly, and when it gets to US 150, they don't know which direction it goes. So they're going to do some work up there as well and assist, try to find out where that goes. Maybe that can all be tied in together. So that is something that took place today. On another issue, I've been swapping emails with Stuart about the subdivision. Stuart has sent the request on the land to his farm manager to get some feedback from him. So now I'm waiting on that. So that's the two things that I had.
Any questions to the City Manager's Report? Non-agenda items and other business?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We have one of these here in City Hall? We do have. Who else has one of these?
Well, I didn't even know you had one, but we only have one at City Hall.
Okay, but who else do you know that has one?
I don't have a clue.
You don't have a clue. Does the city attorney have one of these?
I don't know if he does or not.
Okay, well, my question is, 2 weeks ago, you said that we could use the TIF 2 money to take care of anything other than the subdivision out there. And about 2 months ago, you told me that the city attorney said that we could not use that. Where did he get his information?
I asked Keith Moran, and he said,
I'm not talking about Keith Moran. I'm asking 2 months ago, where did the city attorney get his information that says we cannot use that?
I don't know where he got his information, but I was going to answer your question, sir, is that the answer that I gave you 2 weeks ago came from Keith Moran.
I know.
And Keith said that he was comfortable that we could use that for infrastructure.
Because has he read this? How did he get a hold of that? Where does he get the information? Because I'm reading it here because in here it says, and also I look at my tax bill and it says there's money coming out and going to that TIF allocation fund from my taxes. And I'm thinking, why can't that money be used in that end of town? Basically, it takes up what would have been Ward 2, and that's what would encompass the TIF district down there. And I think that goes clear over to High Street. I think it kind of encompasses all of Ward 2. Maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just curious. Why? Who's got one of these books? I got this thing from somebody that was on the council a long time ago. And he didn't even get it then. Somebody gave it to him. So I'm wondering where everybody's getting their information from.
I don't know. I only know of one of those books that's in existence. But
and who has it?
I do. It's on my credenza. But originally, I asked the city attorney and I got an answer. And then when it became an issue and we had a meeting in here, then I asked Keith Moran and I got an answer. And then I reported those answers.
Well,
back.
Moran I can see, because he's the one that's been working on this, and he should know that. I'm just wondering where he's getting his information. We'll let that go right now. Next thing I have is, right now with if I have rental property in town and I rent it to somebody and they put the utilities in their name and they don't pay the utilities, you come back on me, I think that needs to change. That's not fair. That's not fair to any landlord in this town. The landlord didn't incur the debt. He might own the property, but he didn't run the water and use the electricity and everything. Now, if he gets it put back in his name, he doesn't pay his bill, and that's a different story. But the tenant's in there, that's the tenant's problem. And I think we need to revamp that. And it's not fair to the landlord. I mean, if he doesn't incur the debt, why should he have to pay the debt? We hold him up until he pays the debt, because we've had some situations here in town in the past that I know, one where a plumbing fixture broke, filled the basement full of water, and he couldn't do anything until he paid the bill, and it was like well over $1,000, I think, at the time. So that's one case. But I've had other people. I know another person who owns some property here in town that hit me about this, and I'm not going to pay the bill until, I'm just not going to do that. I didn't incur the debt, so why should I pay the bill? And so I think that needs to be looked at. It's been that way for a long time, and I know why it got that way. It's been about 30-some years ago that it all happened, because we had a music station here in town, down where the theater is at, next door to it, and the people were in there. They ran up a bill, electric bill I think it was, and then they were going to come back on the landlord and have him pay it. And they kind of kept that way, which is unfair back then. Now, we're all big people here. We can collect our own bills. The other thing too is, if we get into this, you just I think maybe look at making the deposit higher so it can cover our bills, for one thing. And get a lot of information when they do come in here, just kind of find out next of kin, maybe driver's license. I don't know what you do take down, but you can take down a little family history and get some where people are at, and
We have
verify
numerous
some.
documents that we require.
Huh?
We have numerous documents that we require.
What do we
The
require?
lease, driver's license.
Okay. What about anything else as far as next of kin, family, anything like that? I would start taking down stuff, because, I know we get stuck, but we need to raise I don't know, how much deposit do we get?
150.
That's not near enough.
Do we have a debt collection service on retainer?
Yeah, we did. We went over this last year. And we added a new debt collector system. We did it, when was that, last year?
Yes, sir.
I think we need to up the deposit a little bit more. That's a little too cheap in case they run out on us. What's our success rate on this thing?
On collections?
Yeah.
Or on the way we're doing it? On the way we're doing it, it's pretty successful. On collections, you might get 40% on a bill.
On the way we're doing it is because we're coming back to the landlord and making you pay the bill, is that why it's successful? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. But I don't, do you think it's something, Larry, do you think that'd be fair to you if you own property and you had somebody run out on the property and left you hanging there with a bill and everything, and save a
I guess you gotta be
$500?
careful how you answer that question. Do I think it's fair? I think you have to understand that we have several different types of landlords in town, and we're always dealing with the same, and so it's...
Okay, explain that to me. Go a little bit deeper.
I think you know where I'm going with that, is that you have several different classifications of citizens in the community, or however you want to look at it, and some of them, they'll live here until they can't live here anymore, and then they'll hop over to this one and that one, and so it creates a problem for us to try to get collections. And so holding the landlord financially responsible is one way to do it.
One way to do it, that's right, yeah.
And if you had quality rentals, then you should have quality people in those rentals, and then it wouldn't be an issue. And generally it's not.
So you would think.
And generally it's not.
Doesn't always work that way. Somebody you think might be quality might be the worst person on the block to pay you. I've been in business long enough to know how that all works. But I think that's something we need to review and start, if anything, to raise the fee, how much we get for a deposit and everything. Because I just heard this on the news, I don't know what town it was, but just recently they decided they were going to raise their deposits on their, probably just for water since they don't have electricity. But I think we need to look at that a little bit more. Now, what the rest of you think? I think we have a fiduciary responsibility to the community to sit there and try to, we don't need to be, like I said, I just don't think it's fair to a landlord.
I agree.
What do you think, Max?
I agree with you. Because I've heard stories where people would have to come in that would want to purchase a property, and not only would they have to purchase the property, they would have to purchase the past bills.
The debt, which they had nothing to do
They
with.
had no,
They had nothing to do
We
with
don't
it.
do that anymore. That one's, we changed that a couple years ago, thank
yeah,
goodness.
but I have heard that.
And that was an old practice, and we found out,
Yeah.
you know, did a little investigating, and you couldn't do that. So we got that off the books right away. And I will tell you that we've had thousands of dollars laying in there on the books that we couldn't collect for. And because the gals in City Hall have been very vigorous in trying to collect on this to get the money back into the city coffers, we've been able to get some of those old debts and get it off the books. So, and we've done some settling. We work with people, probably more than what you gentlemen would know.
Oh, I realize that much. I know how much you do work. I mean, I understand how that, when it comes down to the end of the month and how many bills there are that are not paid, and how you try to get hold of people, try to get them settled and everything, and try to do everything you can to get them to keep their electricity on or whatever. And I can think of one person in the past that tried to keep their electricity on, did everything we could, and begged him to do some things. Even one guy begged him to give him some money and everything. He wouldn't do it. As a business, he got his business cut down, had freezers in it, lost all the food. Some of his property was sitting in front of my house the next morning that weekend, and I had to look at that because he was mad about the fact he got his power taken off. But yeah, I know the city's been very good to people as far as trying to get their bills paid and everything. I mean, we do work with them, probably work a little too much and let things get a little too far behind too. But I think also we need to revisit this, and it's time to do that.
Can the deposit be based on the average usage of the house rather than a set amount?
It could be.
Could that be done?
Average usage could be a ambiguous term. You don't know how much anybody's going to use. You don't know.
I think you just need to come up with a dollar figure and have a set figure, because you might use more power than Willard in the same house. So because your lifestyles is different.
The other thing about the deposit, right now, off the top of my head, I'd say $500. You get that back, Mr. Tenant. You get it back within 30 days of you moving out of that house. We give them a hard receipt, either a type, something this size that says it's on there, and you bring that back to us, and we'll give you back your rent. If you don't bring, or give you back your deposit, if you don't bring that back in 30 days, you forfeit your deposit. I think I should say that on there.
What is a deposit now?
But I mean, it'll wake them up, because they're going to sit there and the bill's going to be paid in full. And
500 is a lot.
Huh?
500 is a lot. I mean, I'm not saying it shouldn't be raised, but 500.
I'm talking off the top of my head.
You're right.
But it's going to be more than 150. 150 is too
Yeah.
damn cheap.
Yeah,
Flat out.
I don't disagree with that. But if you raise it to 500, since we do have a renter here that is sitting at the table, you're going to make it harder for him to rent apartments and stuff, because sometimes it's just not there.
Still, even at 150, if you're talking about a single parent with multiple children, that can be a lot of money.
Absolutely.
That can make the difference between getting a rental and not getting a rental.
Yeah.
That's why I asked you to look back at the 12-month history of the house and get an average of what the house uses.
But then you can also look at the quality of your renter, like Larry was talking about. You got the quality of your renter too.
Well, having a poor person doesn't make them a low-quality renter.
No, I'm not saying it does. But it just, if Larry said that, the quality of your renters and landlords in this town, and I know what it's all about. I've lived here long enough to know who the slumlords are and who the good ones are and the bad ones are. They could also too.
And we live in a community that I think it's over 50% low income, and it's just what it is.
It depends how you look at the low income. There's a lot of ways to look at that too. You know, you got a lot of elderly people in this town, so you got fixed income. That's one reason it helps drive it down. That's why.
Now you've gone to school lunches pretty much, right? I mean, that's how this.
Well, that's one of them too.
That's just one.
But that's a broad thing. It's not just Farmer City. You got 2 other towns involved in this too.
I'm just going to speak for us, if you don't mind. Could you look at the surrounding communities and find out kind of what deposits in the area, and then bring that number back to us?
I could check with other members of the IMEA, since they have their own power generating, and see what they do.
That'd be a good place to
Because
start.
generally, they would have water and sewer as well. So
That'd be a good place to start.
I could reach out to them.
If you could reach out and bring those numbers back, that way we can continue the discussion and
Okay.
at least have a general idea of where others are at as well, too. So, other non-agenda items and other business. We have 2 public comments this evening. The first one to turn his sheet in to me was Jerry McKinley. Sir, you have the floor.
Well, I talked to Santa Ana Township, and they're gonna dig that up, like you said, and everything. But, we gotta get that tile fixed in that field where our corn crop is at. I took you down, I took the state man down there, and he said, man, that's bad, you know.
Now, is that tile our responsibility?
It's in our field.
It's
Yeah, it's in
field.
our, I took you down there.
But we have Farnsworth looking at that currently, don't we?
We have
On
farmers
that, what we
looking.
had discussed was possibly making that just an open ditch instead of going
That's
in
what it
there.
is to the north, right? I was down the other day, I looked at it. So it's the north. I don't see you guys putting $100,000 worth of cement in there for getting
Wait a minute,
500.
there's already
here.
a tile in there.
Well, it's
Are you
busted,
thinking
I
the
mean.
same place I am?
I mean, unless there's multiple fields down there that we don't, we only have one, I believe, right?
You know where,
It's on Depot Road next to the,
Same place, unless it's
Countertop.
headed
place.
west.
I looked at that on Google Maps, and it looks to me like that tile comes from the interstate
It comes up from around there.
and goes into that ditch,
Yeah, in town here, which
Right.
is all
That's part of it.
which needs dug out too.
yeah, all that needs, underneath that trestle and everything.
Right.
Which the township has funds available for stuff like that.
That's the city's property now.
Is that, okay, what about what's coming towards it?
That's
Does it
fine,
need to-
that belongs, that's owned by Jerry Wright.
What's Farnsworth is out there working, or is working on that project, correct?
Yeah.
Including the tile that he's talking about.
I did not take him out there and show him that tile. That tile has settled and is displaced, so you could either go back in there, and it is a large concrete tile, you could put in new tile, or you could open that ditch up and never worry about that, and just have open drainage in that field. I don't know if you put that tile back, if it's gonna create more problems. That part I don't know.
In my opinion, you couldn't put that tile back, you'd have to replace it altogether through that section. Because those tiles are broken, busted, you have to redo it all. And they're clay, I think, are they clay, aren't they?
Concrete,
Concrete?
yeah.
But yeah, a lot of them are busted. The open ditch would be a good economical approach.
But we gotta think about that 4-inch tile that comes across me and down behind Heartland Chemical and everything, and empties out into there. That may have to be made bigger because the landscape has changed over the years. I mean, like where the chemical company's at, it's all rocked out and everything. It's not farm ground anymore. And it's just same as it comes when it comes from up north, the 150.
Jerry's right about that because we grew up in that part of the town, and I tell you what, the water up there was never like it has been in the past 15 years. There's something wrong up there in some way. Something's broke, something's not right. We own the ground now, we need to fix it. I mean, it's not just him, and him being my brother and all, There's more to it than that. You got people up to the
You
north.
have
That's some-
Isaacs, yeah, they're.
You got a lot of property that drains down through there, and it needs to be taken care of.
Yeah, that tile comes from the north and comes underneath the highway and the tracks. Now, township might have a broken tile. I've told them where I think it's at. But, they gotta get in there and get it fixed.
The other part of the problem out there too is this. Fiber optic went down along that
Yeah.
railroad right away
Yeah.
about 20 years ago, 25 years ago. Ever since then, across the road there, what Bart Patrick owns, that has always flooded, ever since then. There's a tile that's been broken there at that time, when that was put in. And somewhere along in there, that's why it floods there, where that building's at and everything, right across, they're on the north,
East
on
side.
the west side of the highway there. That's why that floods there. There's something that's broke in there, and it's been broke ever since that fiber optic's been put in there. That never used to be like that, because my dad had that piece of ground, he rented it off the railroad, and he put that in hay every year.
Yeah.
We never had any trouble with that at all. There was never any flooding across the road. Something's wrong there.
And just like up around Isaacs and stuff there used to not be water up around there.
And it's like he says, the terrain has changed. There's been a lot of changes up there over the years. You've had Heartland come in there, we've had, what's the other one, I can't think of it right now.
Maxwell County.
Well, Maxwell County for one, what's next it?
Next gen.
Next generation, that's another. All these things have changed. That used to be just farm ground up there. That was at the cornfield. And it's all different now. When people started digging and getting in there, then you start changing things, and it's altered the ground, and that's why we're having this flooding problem out there. Now the state thinks that it's going to fix that corner down there and dig that up. There's more to it than that.
Yeah.
There's a hell of a lot more to it than that.
But they believe that there's a series of tiles up there, one that runs on the south side of US 150 that does not appear to be working. The 8-inch tile that goes down on County Highway 4, which they believe goes on south.
It does.
Okay? And so what they are hoping is that depending on if they can find that 8-inch tile, that they can hook in a series of catch basins and drain that water, because it's obviously working as it goes south. And it's working because it's draining the ponds up behind Alliance and Monsanto and that. And so they know that that 8-inch tile that goes down through there works. So that's part of their plan.
Well, I think it's something that needs to be, make everybody stays on top of this thing and get it taken care of, because spring's coming on, so it means we could have more rain again and flood. I've been out there in that corner, I don't think I've ever seen it that bad off the highway right there. That's
It was literally,
that's about the
Up to my
biggest,
knees,
it was,
it's about the biggest mess I've seen.
I'm
up
doing
there.
chores and stuff.
I believe the city council, correct me if I'm wrong, it's in the city's best interest to get rid of this water. I mean, we don't want the standing water.
That's right.
We have family members, city family members who live in that area. You have Isaacs, and I went down there and there was 6 inches standing water there. The mosquitoes were absolutely horrible. So there is no roadblock from the city council saying that we don't want to drain this water. So what we need is a plan. Am I right?
Yep.
We need a plan. Bring us the plan, and then we'll go forward on that. So that's,
I think the plan started today, Mayor, when we got everybody together, and the agreement was that it is a township issue. It's on township property. And so the township is going to take the lead, working with DeWitt County Highway in getting it fixed.
is there anything wrong with simultaneously working on
They have to
it?
get
But you're talking about on the
Jared,
north side.
hold on.
I'm
Please.
talking about on the south side.
I'm talking about on the south side, on the southwest corner of John and US 150 is where I'm talking about.
We also need to deal with the field tile that we do know is messed up. That is ours. If we have to open that up, well, I'd like to have some sort of plan. And do we need to open something up to get there? So anything that we can do, we need to do.
Well, that flows through there, Mayor. There's no blockage there. It's just that the tile has settled and is misaligned. I mean, when that water comes from the north, it's traveling right on through there anyway. So that's not creating any type of a blockage. It does need to be put back together, or it needs to be opened up, but it's not creating a blockage.
But it's all silted in, those tiles are all silted in there.
Yeah,
That
but
puts
Jeremy,
more up on top of the ground.
yeah, the water's running up out of the tile and across the top of the ground, so it is moving.
Well, it's moving, but what about the tile that comes down along the railroad tracks? It comes from the north.
Well, if I understand what
I
Larry
mean,
just
it's
said,
underwater, it was underwater. I took the state guy out there this week, or last week, and showed him where it comes out at and everything. And it was underwater because...
Larry,
But they're two separate issues, and that tile out in that field is not creating your flooding, and we're trying to solve your
It's
flooding.
not letting the water get away.
we are currently, am I right on this? We are currently working with the state, Sam, and working on something that you were saying you believe this is going to solve the water problem.
Yes.
Okay.
But why did you get upset, or the city council got upset, when Jerry got fixed it once after the city bought it, and he turned the bill into the city, and you guys the city council got all upset, or the city got all upset, and that's when Jerry just said, heck on you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know anything about that.
Probably before all of you guys.
Well, yeah, but don't bring up something that's before us.
you can't do it.
But you gotta learn.
I apologize, we didn't
You
fix it
gotta
at
learn,
that time.
I've been griping about this, what, for 3 years? You gotta learn how to maintain it. Or you won't be having this problem.
I don't.
Are you talking about the drainage on the south side of the railroad tracks?
This is, yeah, we have, Jerry, thank you.
I talked on the Illinois Central line, north side. I showed you that.
I'll talk to Larry about it after this.
I drove you down there and showed you.
I know.
Jerry, thank you. Thank you. We're going to move on to Tim
I'll talk to
now.
Larry about it afterwards.
Mr. Hannon, you have the floor.
Thank you. I'd like to take the opportunity to wish you all a happy new year
Thanks, sir.
and everyone assembled. I walk a lot. I talk a lot to folks here in town, and there's a lot of insecurity about what's going to happen to our supermarket. If we lose that, it's a 10-mile drive to Leroy, the closest one, and 10 miles back. And as Max so rightfully pointed out, most of our citizens are scratching to pay their bills, let alone spend extra money on gas to get to the IGA in Leroy. And so a lot of folks are wondering what we're going to do about the Farmer City Market. If we're going to make an attempt to save it and rehabilitate it, or if we're just going to let it slide. Now, I went to grade school in B Mint, and the grocery store down there, the Kittner family ran that, and that city council years ago let it slide, let them go out of business. And they went decades without a grocery store. So everybody had to drive to either Atwood or Monticello. And it took 2 decades before they could get that grocery store, the modest grocery store they have now, built. And so I'm hoping that the council has designs on solving the problem or letting us know if we better buy gas cards for Leroy.
Go ahead. We have put money into the building,
Okay.
a lot of money.
Yeah, we put over 6 figures into the building already.
And in the last 2 or 3 years,
Yeah.
Too tough, yeah.
Is it salvageable?
Is the grocery store salvageable?
Yeah.
Let me answer, or let me answer this, or at least make this statement. The city is doing everything it can do to make all businesses profitable in this community, and that is first and foremost by focusing on bringing in more houses and more people. Because the fact is, Neiman closed down. This grocery store is hurting. All the business along Main Street, they are competing for business and with very few people in the community.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of people in the community. Fact of the matter is, the supermarket is well, it's having a hard time to compete with people that are, or businesses that are 60 miles or 30 miles away.
Yeah.
We cannot give them $50,000 a month or $30,000 a month, which is my understanding is their deficit, to keep them going. We can't. What we can do is work on bringing more people to this community. By bringing more people in this community, there are more opportunities for more customers. It's about all we can do. So,
Okay, but we would collectively prefer not to let it slide and to rehabilitate it if we can.
we would have collectively preferred the last one not to go away. We'd collectively prefer that this one not go away.
Yeah.
I think that you're right, but business is business. We're the government, and
Yeah.
when you mix the two, that's normally when you screw things up. So, I mean, I'm hoping they do well and they continue to serve this community, but other than, I will say that the city's done all that it can. Other than, again, work on bringing more customers, future customers to the town. And I think that that is a fix for the schools. I think it's a fix for the businesses. I think it's a fix for the tax dollars. I think it's an overall fix. More people in the community. So, but sir, I appreciate your passion and I appreciate your points on that. Thank you, sir.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Motion, entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Call it.
Harden? McKinley?
Yes.
Chesroy?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Vaughn?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.